Magic the Gathering is a game filled with frightening monsters, wicked creatures, and abhorrent beasts. But what of those forgotten entities that hide in the dark corners of our own world? No matter where you live on Earth, there are sure to be tales of cryptids passed on through folklore and perpetuated in media. As someone who regularly studies the creatures of magic's vast multiverse, I find such cryptids as those found on Earth to be intensely fascinating. As such, I often ask myself what would happen if we were to place our very own beasts of nightmare and mystery into the multiverse of magic. With the spooky season upon us, I felt today should be that day. To accomplish our task, we will categorize one famous cryptid for each of Magic's 5 colors. We will then dive into what is known about them, both in appearance and history, and finally, we shall capture each cryptid, then select a plane of the multiverse best suited for them to be set free. So gather your things, brave planeswalker, as we will first travel to the deserts of southern Mongolia. We will begin our study with the cryptid I have selected for the white mana category. To find this cryptid, we must travel to the desolate and expansive plains of the Gobi Desert. It is here where tales of the Mongolian deathworm have spread far and wide, as a warning of the dangers that lie within this vast and seemingly endless desert. Described as a blood-red, serpentine abomination, measuring anywhere from 2 to 7 feet in length, though some tales have spoken of it growing far beyond this. The deathworm earned its name not just because of its vile appearance, but from its ghastly proficiency in oozing forth and disgorging venom, so potent that it promises nothing but an inevitable demise. Mongolian legends also tell of how this worm travels underground, creating waves of sand on the surface, which is your only chance of knowing when one is near, but even then, it's probably too late, as it only rises to the surface when it's time to kill and devour a victim, or to lay its eggs within its corpse. The origins of the Mongolian deathworm are unknown, yet legends have circulated throughout folklore among the Mongolian tribes for 1,000 years. Tales of this cryptid first reached the ears of foreigners in 1926 through the book On the Trail of Ancient Man, where the American paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews received several warnings from separate parties of the dangers that lurked in the Gobi Desert, of the deathworm. This book would then go on to inspire many other adventurers and scientists, ones eager to discover what had the hardy Mongolian people so scared. Many have walked the Gobi in search of any sign of this foul cryptid. It's no wonder though, as with an area of land as large as the Gobi Desert, reaching nearly 500,000 square miles, such a cryptid may never be found. Lucky for us, I had a machine made by the artificers of Kaladesh, one that is built specifically for finding what is lost within the deepest deserts. Thus, tracking down this worm wasn't an issue, though capturing it was another story. Now that we have our specimen, we must find a new home for it among the planes of the multiverse, and I believe there is but one suited for it. As such, we will send it to Amonkhet, where it may burrow into the endless sands of eternal death, a fitting home for a cryptid like this. Now, we have no time to linger, as we must leave the arid Gobi Desert and venture forth to the frigid waters of the Antarctic in order to find and study the cryptid I have categorized in blue, and that creature is the Ninjin, a cryptid of the frigid and vast waters surrounding Antarctica, the stuff of maritime nightmares, described as a colossal, ghostly white entity with a whale-like body and humanoid arms and hands. The Ninjin is said to stretch up to 20 to 30 meters in length, challenging the great size of the largest mammal on Earth, the blue whale. All of this accompanied by a featureless yet unsettling human-like face and black eyes devoid of expression. Being the most modern of all cryptids on our list, its origins date back not to folklore, but to the early days of the internet, in the year 2002. Specifically on the Japanese forum website 2channel, where members of a whale research vessel made a post recounting their nightmarish encounter with this unspeakable terror. From their retelling of events, one dark night they spotted a shadowy form in the icy waters, emerging to the surface near their ship, its grotesque form initially mistaken for a submarine. Drawn by morbid curiosity, the crew ventured closer, only to witness the monstrous entity dissolve back into the darkness of the ocean, leaving them in a state of abject horror and disbelief. In 2005, the Ninja was spotted once again on Google Earth, as an astute observer captured an image that would chill the hearts of many. There in the photo, grainy yet visible, was a form resembling the description of the sea monster the Japanese whalers had told about years before, confirming the fears that many already had. Then, in 2010, a Japanese chemical research company released a chilling YouTube video showcasing their observations of ocean life. Yet, as the video neared its conclusion, the abyss revealed a nightmare creature with small black eyes and a twisted grin-like gash for a mouth. Sightings, footage, and tales would continue to swirl around the mysterious oceans of the Antarctic to this day. Sailors and researchers who have encountered the Ninja speak of its eerie silence and its ability to glide gracefully through the icy waters. Stories of the aquatic enigma have spread throughout seafaring communities, creating a chilling aura around those frozen waters. Lucky for us, I have experience in studying the gigantic sea creatures who dwell in the deep oceans of Theros, and with this experience, I was able to capture one of these Ninja. Now we must decide where in the multiverse of magic this blue-aligned creature can be set free for further study. With its need to stay within the deep, dark, and frigid oceans, I believe there is but one place that it should go, and that is the icy waters of Kaldheim. Perhaps here the gods may watch over this cryptid and guide it where it needs to go. For Black, we must select a creature of pure horror, one who brings terror and death with it wherever it goes, and for that I have selected one such cryptid of nightmares, the Enfield Horror, or Enfield Monster, depending on who you ask. A nightmarish entity that terrorized a quiet town in Illinois for several days before it was never seen again. This monstrous being is described as having 3 twisted appendages sprouting from its gnarled body, accompanied by jagged claws, pallid, slimy skin, and bulging red eyes that glow like lanterns in the night. What's more is that anyone who has encountered this entity has made sure to describe its unnerving speed, accompanied by an unearthly screech. Chronicles of this cryptid find their origins in the quaint Illinois town of Enfield. There, an unsettling chapter unfurled on the frigid night of April 25th, 1973, plunging the small community into a nightmare they retell to this day. That night, Henry McDaniels returned home to find his children hiding away, paralyzed by fear, claiming a thing had tried to break into their home. That is when Henry heard a wicked scratching at the door. He didn't think twice and grabbed his gun, opened the door, and there in front of him was a grotesque and vile creature, its claws bared, its jaws gnashing. Without hesitation, he shot the beast 4 times. But in response, it merely hissed that loud screech and ran off back into the darkness. The next evening, the innocent world of a young boy named Greg Garrett would be irrevocably shattered as he found himself face to face with this horror, the eldritch fiend seemingly spawning from the darkness and descending upon Greg with a malevolent intent. All the boy could do is let out anguished cries as he turned and fled in sheer terror, seeking refuge within the sanctuary of his parents' home. Several more sightings would take place over the course of days, but then as soon as the fiend came, it was never seen again. As you may know, such fiends are never truly gone, they just move into hiding. As such, I followed my instincts and found it within an abandoned home, far from the beaten path. Using a binding spell, we can now safely move it from the lands of Enfield to somewhere better suited for such terror. As such, we shall release it into the swamps of Innistrad, so that it may stalk its many dark corners among the other vile entities of this plane. Now we will continue on with the fiend I have chosen to take the red category, the Jersey Devil, also known as the Leeds Devil. a malevolent creature of American folklore who emerged from the depths of hell to haunt the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. This cryptid is a grotesque hybrid of various animals and fiendish features, with an elongated horse's head, leathery bat-like wings, cloven hooves, and piercing red eyes, like the fires of hell. The accursed tale of the Jersey Devil finds its origins in the heart of the Pine Barrens, and with one resident in particular, Jane Leeds, also known as Mother Leeds. In the year of 1735, beneath a shroud of night, Mother Leeds was giving birth to her 13th child, a child she cursed, saying aloud that it would manifest as the spawn of the devil. That night, the storm raged on around her and her family. Jane Leeds writhed in agonizing labor, her cries accompanied by cracks of thunder ripping through the night. Finally, when all was said and done, what emerged was no ordinary babe, but a wretched creature, a hellish imp of horrid design. The abomination lashed out, violently striking at all who dared draw near, screeching as it clawed at its mother and her family, until finally it found an opening and flew up the chimney and into the night. Ever since that cursed night, sightings have cropped up all over the area, some spanning far outside of where the beast was birthed. Hunters have reported a ghastly being with sickly wings flying overhead the trees, as if watching them. Farmers tell harrowing tales of the violent mutilations of their livestock, their bodies torn to shreds. Even to this day, those who walk the abandoned areas surrounding South Jersey tell of the devil who creeps in the dark. Now, such devils do not scare me, and in a strange way I pity the cursed child who grew to be a devil. As someone versed in the tongue of devils, I was able to call out to it while dredging through the railways of South Jersey, and have managed to capture it. Now it's time to relocate it somewhere in the multiverse, somewhere better suited for such a creature as this, a place accustomed to fiends of such nature. To that end, we will send the Devil of Leeds to the streets of New Capenna. An odd choice, you may think, but it is here where many devils have found a life for themselves, and perhaps that's all this ill-fated child needed, was a home where it could be accepted. For our final category, green, we will investigate and capture a Bigfoot, also known as the Sasquatch, one of the most famous cryptids of modern time, and one who has been a source of discussion since its first alleged sightings in the 1950s. But even before then, stories have circulated among the First Nations people of Canada and America of a creature who haunts the darkest recesses of the impenetrable forests of the Northwest. Standing and imposing 7 to 10 feet tall, its massive, hulking frame is concealed beneath a tangled mess of dark brown or reddish brown fur, frightening in its close resemblance to something human, yet uniquely wild and ancient. Most famous of all is the tracks left behind by this lumbering beast, with massive footprints measuring a harrowing 24 inches in length. Across the vast expanse of the Pacific Northwest's wilderness, ancient indigenous cultures recount chilling tales of shadowy, hair-covered beings that stalk their lands. These unsettling tales were preserved across several tribes, varying in detail from one region to another, yet wholly similar in description. In the Toole River Indian Reservation, etchings adorn the ancient stones of painted rock, inscribed by the hands of Yokuts. These petroglyphs, some believe, depict a nightmarish clan of extraordinarily tall people, an assembly known as the Family. Among these old glyphs, one sinister figure stands out in particular, hauntingly named the Hairy Man. These engravings, aged between 500 and 1,000 years old, serve as a testament to the unknown entities lurking in the deepest recesses of the wilderness. Even to this day, hunters, adventurers, and the curious have all recounted tales of encountering this creature. Some have come face to face with it, lurking in the brush, following their every movement. Others have told tales of it entering their encampment, shaking their tents or rocking their campers. Even if you haven't spotted it, there are always clear signs of its domain, with the aforementioned footprints or unidentified furs caught on trees. Of course, such deep woods are no issue for me, as I have spent much time with the many elves of the multiverse. With the skills they have taught me, I was able to track down one such Bigfoot, and now it's time to find a new home where it won't be bothered by humanity encroaching upon its lands. As such, I believe that the thick forests of Dominaria will be best suited for the Sasquatch. There it can find a new form of peace and wander its lush greeneries. Well, thanks for joining me on this spooky yet intriguing look at the cryptids of our own world. I honestly had so much fun making this video and playing the role of a multiverse spanning cryptozoologist. So if you want more, then be sure to drop a cryptid in the comments with the color you think they should be categorized in, as I'm sure I've missed some that you would have wanted to see. With that, friends, I will catch you in the multiverse. Bye.